Stop whatever you're doing. No, seriously. Put your phone down gently before it faints. Because what I'm about to tell you makes every Real Housewives scandal, every Bravo reunion meltdown, and every Celebrity Notes app apology look like preschool drama time. Tonight, we are diving headfirst into a story so explosive, so jaw-locking, so eyebrow-lifting that even the FBI would request a popcorn break because allegedly, supposedly, reportedly, and according to sources who absolutely should not be talking, but definitely our Kandi Burruss' daughter Riley has finally broken her silence on what Todd Tucker was really doing behind those perfectly curated, Instagram-friendly, family brand safe closed doors. And let me warn you right now, you thought this was about marriage problems. You thought this was about parenting disagreements. Baby, this is about strategies, secrets, spreadsheets of manipulation, and emotional architecture so advanced it could qualify for a government grant. Why did Riley choose now to speak? Why is the internet glitching like a Bravo intern during contract negotiations? And why does every leaked insider quote sound more unbelievable than the last? Grab your snacks. Grab your wig glue. Buckle both seatbelts. Because what you're about to hear changes everything. Riley Burruss's revelation didn't arrive like a scream or a dramatic meltdown. It came like a quiet door slowly opening after years of being locked. And the moment it opened, the entire Burruss Tucker world felt the shift. For so long, the public believed the beautifully polished image of a blended power family building businesses, raising children, and smiling through every camera flash. But according to insiders who claim to have witnessed things from much closer angles, the harmony was never as real as it looked. They describe a household that functioned less like a home and more like a controlled environment, where decisions felt predetermined and emotions were filtered through Todd Tucker's strict philosophy. While fans celebrated Kandi's non-stop work ethic and Todd's entrepreneurial drive, something much quieter and much heavier was allegedly building behind the scenes. Riley, known for being calm, reserved, and level-headed, finally made it clear that she had watched the emotional dynamics inside her home shift slowly from parental guidance into something she describes as controlled structure. People close to the situation claim that Todd's approach to family life wasn't simply strict, but carefully calculated, creating an atmosphere where affection could feel conditional and where every disagreement turned into a lesson that often left someone feeling unheard. The famous Porsche incident, which the internet celebrated as an extravagant, unforgettable gift, was described by Riley as the moment everything inside the house permanently changed. What looked like generosity to the public allegedly triggered an explosion of tension privately, leading to arguments, accusations, and an emotional divide that never healed. The fallout exposed unspoken resentments that had been simmering for years, especially between Riley and Kayla, who insiders say were quietly positioned against each other through subtle differences in how they were disciplined and treated. Instead of blending as sisters, they allegedly learned to navigate the home as two separate worlds under two separate standards. Riley believed she was judged more harshly, while Kayla felt she had to fight twice as hard for support. Sources claim even the simplest decisions became battles of philosophy between Todd and Kandi, one focused on discipline and survival, the other on emotional support and stability. Caught in the middle were two daughters who could feel the lines being drawn around them. Long before they understood why, Riley's silence, which many mistook for neutrality, was actually exhaustion, the kind that comes from years of feeling analyzed instead of understood. And according to people close to her, the truth she finally shared wasn't the full story, but simply the part she could no longer carry quietly. The moment she spoke, everything the public believed about the Burruss Tucker family shifted, because her words hinted at something bigger, something deeper, something that completely changed the understanding of what had been happening behind closed doors. What followed Riley's quiet disclosure was a wave of rumors, spreading faster than any official statement could. Once the public sensed that something deeper had been happening behind the scenes, every old clip, every interview, Every moment of tension that had once been dismissed as harmless suddenly looked like a missing puzzle piece that fit perfectly into the picture Riley had described. Anonymous sources, some claiming to be former employees, others insisting they were close enough to witness the household dynamics firsthand, began describing a level of emotional disconnect that sounded less like ordinary family conflict and more like a pattern that had taken root long before cameras ever arrived. These sources alleged that Todd treated the home like a management system where each person had a role, and each role came with expectations. If anyone stepped out of line, the response wasn't a conversation, but a calculated adjustment in behavior or access. Reports began circulating suggesting that even family meetings were handled like corporate reviews, where Todd allegedly outlined responsibilities instead of offering emotional reassurance, leaving the atmosphere inside the home feeling structured but cold. Some claimed Riley often felt observed rather than supported, as if every reaction she had was quietly measured against a standard she never fully understood. Leaked text messages, which no one would officially confirm, though many online insisted were real, painted a picture of delayed responses, short acknowledgments, and a tone that felt more like a distant supervisor than a present parent. Other insiders claimed that during high-pressure moments, Todd allegedly withdrew into himself, leaving Candy to bridge the emotional gap while still maintaining the public image that everything was fine. The divide reportedly became even more obvious after the Porsche incident, a moment many now describe as the breaking point that pushed the household from quiet tension into open fracture. Public reactions were instant and dramatic. Fans dissected every moment from past seasons and interviews, searching for hints they had missed. Comments flooded social media from people claiming they had always sensed something off in Todd's tone or body language, but never understood why until now. Fake investigative reports, began circulating, alleging everything from favoritism to emotional neglect. One source claimed the energy inside the house shifted so drastically after the gift that conversations became shorter, dinners quieter, and doors closed more often than they opened. Another insider said it felt like people were living in the same house, but speaking different emotional languages that no one knew how to translate. And through all of it, Riley remained mostly silent, leading the public to believe that what she had already revealed was only the surface of a much larger truth waiting to come out. As the public pieced together each clue and whispers grew louder, the story shifted from quiet curiosity to full-scale speculation about what the fallout inside the Burruss Tucker world might look like. Once Riley's revelation opened the door even slightly, people began imagining everything that could spill from behind it. Rumors of legal consultations and private meetings started circulating, with some sources claiming that Candy had already begun preparing for the possibility that their internal issues would soon become external ones requiring official intervention. Anonymous insiders insisted discussions were happening behind closed doors regarding financial implications, business responsibilities, and the future of projects that once depended on Candy and Todd being united. These whispered claims described a level of tension that no one could ignore, with suggestions that partnerships were being reevaluated, contracts questioned, and trust within the inner circle evaporating faster than the public could follow. Social media became a digital court where fans launched theories about custody disputes, financial divides, and even potential shutdowns of certain business ventures, depending on how deeply Todd's influence was tied to their success. Some people insisted government agencies would soon be reviewing tax filings or business practices, not because of confirmed wrongdoing, but because the internet is known for turning unverified theories into full investigative fantasies. Others speculated that Todd might distance himself from public appearances to avoid scrutiny, while some claimed he was already doing exactly that, fading gradually from familiar circles as if trying to outrun the narrative forming around him. Meanwhile, fans suggested Candy was preparing emotionally and strategically for whatever came next. Some insiders claimed she was strengthening her support system and reevaluating which relationships around her were genuine and which were tied to convenience or opportunity. Tension intensified when unnamed. Sources hinted that certain individuals in the family seemed almost relieved by the widening distance between Candy and Todd, suggesting that alliances behind the scenes were shifting in ways the public had never considered. Online investigators pointed out timelines where Todd appeared less involved and moments when his absence seemed intentional rather than circumstantial, leading to more debates about what he knew when he knew it, and whether he had been preparing for separation long before it became visible. Through all of this, the idea that Riley had not told the full story became this strange anchor holding the entire conversation together. The more people analyzed her words, the more convinced they became that her silence wasn't emptiness, but restraint. As the internet waited for her next move, the feeling grew that something irreversible had already taken place. And the remaining questions became heavier, because once a truth begins to surface, even slowly, it becomes impossible to push back down completely. So now that the pieces are on the table, and the truth has begun slipping through the cracks, the only questions left are how much more has been hidden, how deep the silence truly goes, and whether the next revelation will confirm what everyone has been whispering in the shadows. Stories like this don't end neatly, and they don't fade quietly. They unfold in waves, each one heavier than the last. The moment one person speaks, the entire foundation begins to shift. So ask yourself, what happens when the rest of the truth comes out, and who stands to lose the most when it finally does? If you want to follow every twist, every whisper, and every new clue that pushes this story deeper into the light, make sure you like this video, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe so you never miss the next chapter.